So, Dr. Fraser, for those people who may not know your body of work, share with us what you've done and how you've gotten here.
Born and raised in Brooklyn, New York, Bed-Stuy, family of 11, 8 boys and 3 girls. My mother became mentally ill when I was 2 and couldn't take care of 11 children. My father was a cab driver, worked 14 hours a day, 12 to 14. He couldn't take it. So we were orphaned. I was an orphan from 2 to 5 years old and then put into foster care, and I aged out of foster care. No one thought I was college material. So I went to a vocational high school and got a diploma in carpentry, and couldn't get a job in carpentry in New York because it was controlled by the Italians. So my first real job was mopping floors on the midnight ship at LaGuardia Airport. I loved that job, very committed to that job. I took ownership in cleaning those floors, cleaning those toilets, and cleaning those urinals. And if you were to go to LaGuardia Airport today and go down into the maintenance department, there's a big plaque on the wall. It's me. I was the best floor mopper in the history of LaGuardia Airport. I won all of the awards. Now, why did I tell you that story? How you do anything is how you do everything. Right? Never chase money, chase excellence. When you're excellent at whatever it is you choose to do in life, you will not be able to get out of the way of money. You will not have to worry about competition. People will compete with you. You will not have to get in anybody's line. People will get in line for you. Excellence in every single thing that we do is critically important, and that's what I've applied to my life. So at 76 years old now, an elder, my body of work is significant. I'm not bragging. I'm just saying everything from starting a global conference called the Power Networking Conference, now in its 20th year, selected by Forbes magazine as one of the top 5 conferences in America, not to be missed. Not one of the top 5 Black conferences, but one of the top 5 of all the conferences not to be missed. How you do anything is how you do everything. From there, I built a system for financial education. It's called WINS, WINDS, Wealth Building Centers and Curriculum. It is the first system with its own curriculum. We install it in historically Black churches and organizations. If Wednesday is Bible study day, Thursday needs to be financial education day in our churches, right? One of the bad habits we have as Black people is that we don't talk about money. We don't talk about money in church. We don't talk about money at home. We don't talk about money in school. So the foundational objective for progress in the Black community for the 21st century will be financial education. We are the most financially illiterate people in America. We're 400 years in. We came over here on the Mayflower, and we're still at the bottom of every single economic statistic that matters in America. Something needs to be done. Financial education is the start. And then the third and final thing, in 2019, I fulfilled a dream, and that is to launch a virtual global Black nation. And we did. It's called Fraser Nation, Citizens of Generational Wealth. There are 1.1 million people in our nation from around the world. And what we do is we aggregate the best and brightest Black professionals, business owners, and community leaders, provide them opportunities to connect with each other, to share their ideas and resources, and to recycle Black dollars. We have our own flag, our own 14 articles in a constitution. We have our own Declaration of Interdependence. So those are the 3 legacy projects that I will leave when I pass the baton and go to meet my maker. I have been awarded by President Obama the Presidential Lifetime Achievement Award. I've been inducted into the Minority Business Hall of Fame and Museum. And it goes on and on. I don't really like talking about myself because it sounds like bragging. I'm not bragging. I'm just saying. Well,
we don't think you're bragging, Dr. Fraser. The reason why I wanted you to share your body of work is because nobody knows your body of work better than you. And so I want to start by asking you when you knew you would be called to help Black and brown people understand how to come out of the wealth gap?
Yeah, I wrote about that in my book, my first book, Success Runs in Our Race: The Complete
Mm-hmm.
Guide to Effective Networking in the African American Community. It happened for me at about 42 years old when I went through an adult rites of passage program. And I believe that every Black male and female adult should seek out a rites of passage program wherever they live and go through that program. I went from Eurocentric thinking, because this is how we're raised, to African-centered thinking and an African-centered worldview. And I began to understand once and for all, which precipitated me becoming ultimately a race man. You can become a race woman too. But a race man is someone that has committed their time, talent, and treasure into the investment and upliftment of his own people first. I didn't say only, I just said first. And once I found out who I was as a Black man, in spite of the fact that some people think I look like a white man, I am a Black man. Make no mistake about that. And once I found out who I was,
Mm-hmm.
that and I think this is very important for all Black people, is to understand who they really are, that we are the children of the slaves that would not die, that we have genetic encoding of the great kings and queens of Africa, that we were building pyramids and solving complex engineering problems when other cultures were living in caves, eating each other. And in spite of the fact that America kept its foot on our throat for 350 years, we overcame that and we rose like the phoenix. So if everything happens for a reason and serves us in some special way, and we will never understand that reason looking forward, and we will only understand it looking backwards, if in fact that is the truth, and it is the truth, I deeply believe that maybe we were not brought here. Maybe we were sent here. Do you believe that God would put his weakest people here to do his toughest job? I don't think so. How could an American people at that time, morally, spiritually, and biblically, justify the kidnapping, raping, and pillaging of another two people, natives already in America and Africans brought to America, have any moral or spiritual grounding? And perhaps had God not sent Africans here, America might have self-destructed by now. In the meantime, the pain and the egregious form of slavery that we had to survive through provided the 46 million Black people in this country the best education that money can buy. There are no Black people in the entire world doing better than we are, in spite of America's isms, in spite of still the challenges that we face. We, in fact, and I've traveled all over the diaspora 31 times to Africa, we are, in fact, the beacon of hope for every single person of African descent. And we know that to whom much is given, much is required. Our intellectual and human capital will help Africa rise, so Africa cannot get where it needs to go without us, and we cannot get where we need to go without Africa.
But still, there is this gap in Black and brown people as it relates to our white counterparts. Why are we still facing that gap, Dr. Fraser, in 2021?
Yeah. That's, again, a very deep question. We could spend the whole show on that alone. But it's a result of what I classify, excuse my language on this, what I call broke ass habits that Black people have cultivated over many, many generations. And I mentioned one of them earlier in this discussion, and that is we do not talk about money as a people. I live in Cleveland, Ohio. It is the fifth largest Jewish population in America, and all they talk about in the synagogue, when they meet, when they play golf, at home, is money. We don't talk about money. We have to talk about it. There are lots of reasons why we don't talk about it. For many, it would be because they do not have the money that they dream to talk about. So they just bury it, and with a very, very bad addiction. And that addiction that we have, it's another very bad habit that we have, is we are addicted to instant gratification versus delayed gratification, All right. As I say to brothers and sisters all the time, the goal is to win, not to look like you're winning. I would rather carry a plastic bag with $5,000 in it than to carry a $5,000 Louis Vuitton bag with $100 in it. You think you're winning. You're not winning, right? Louis Vuitton is winning. Armani is winning. Gucci is winning, right? We are not winning. So we're going to have to resolve this addiction, but this addiction is supported by one of the most egregious statistics published in the last 3 years by the AC Nielsen Company. And it was a national study on television viewing habits by cultural group. And what it found is that African Americans watch 40% more television than any cultural group in America. We watch on average of 72 hours of television a week. That's 10 hours of television a day. Any Negro watching 10 hours of television a day needs their ass kicked. That's number
Wow.
one. Number
Wow.
two, if you're watching 72 hours of television a day, you're exposed to almost 3,000 commercials. Right? What are commercials and what's the stuff we see on television called? It's called programming. So we are programmed to consume. Right? We're programmed to consume. So we need to minimize the amount of television that we watch, and we need to read. You know the old saying, if you want to hide something from a black man, put it in a book. Right? I'm in my office. Right, not in my home. You see what's behind me, right? 1,500 books are behind me in my office, and 15,000 books are in my home. It was Socrates who said that the only good is knowledge, and the only evil is ignorance. Right? So there's nothing hidden in America. Anything you want to know about anything, you can get it in a library, you can buy a book, you can get it on Google. There are no secrets. Nothing is hidden from us. So we have the freedom to do the work of research and understanding and studying, which means that we have to commit to lifelong learning, constant, never-ending improvement, right? This is what we have to commit to.
Absolutely.
Until we die, right?
So I want to take you back. Just let me take you back a minute before we get too far down this road, because I think you're right on point. I want to go back to the Jewish culture. And you talked about Jewish people talking about money. I want to talk about the idea that Jewish people not only talk about money, they keep their money in their culture and in their community. Why haven't other cultures understood and replicated that, in your opinion?
Right. Jewish people love Jewish people. Make no mistake about it. But they're also very brilliant around economics. They're very, very, very competitive. But most importantly, they love themselves and they love other Jews. We juxtapose that to our people. We were taught not to love ourselves, but to love them. This is the old Willie Lynch story, all right? To love them. So we suffer, and I want to say this and still be loved, we suffer from low race esteem. Let me say that a different way. When I get up in the morning and I do not love what I see in the mirror as a black man, there is no way that I could love you, because you become a reflection of me. It's part of the reasons we don't work together, we don't share, we don't leverage our collective resources and intellectual capital, and we're reluctant to connect the dots. That's not all black people. That's just most black people. So it is we're wounded. We are deeply wounded people because we don't know who we are, and we have been psyched out for 20 generations. So to say it as gently as I can, we love others more than we love ourselves, right? We will work harder for white people than we will for black people, right? We'll recycle most of our dollars back into the white community versus the black community, right? If a black business person screws up and makes a mistake, we swear off all black businesses. But if a white business makes a mistake, right, we never swear off. We never say, I ain't never doing business with white people again. So We have work to do, inner work to do, psychological work to do, therapy to do. But Black people don't get therapy. White people get therapy. The closest we come to therapy is the Black church. But in the Black church, again, they're not talking about money. And in spite of the fact there's 2,500 references to money in the Bible, 7 of Jesus's parables were about money and economics. So we love the church. It's the leadership institution in our culture, the most important one in our culture. Every good thing that has come for Black people over the last 400 years has principally been under the leadership of the Black church. So we have a lot of inner work to do. White people cannot solve these problems. We have to solve these problems, and white people will not be saving us, right? White people are not even thinking about us. They're thinking about them. They're thinking about their husbands, their wives, their children, their neighborhoods, their businesses, and your pockets. That's what they're thinking about. Not all white people, just most of them. Right. So we have to focus on ourselves. And I ain't hating on white people for focusing on their families and their businesses and their children, because that's exactly what we ought to do ourselves. We need to circle the wagon and understand that our first moral responsibility is to make Black people great first.
So how do we make the psychic change?
Yes. It will take patience. I've said on many occasions, because this is a wonderful question, it's asked a lot. It will take between 3 and 5 generations, right? It'll take
5 generations?
3 and 5 generations. You're talking about changing minds and changing the negative points of inculturation that we are dealing with, right? You're talking about changing minds, which means, and I just want to say this and still be loved, that some Black people are simply going to have to die. We're not going to kill them. They're just going to have to die because they have stinking thinking, right? So it's going to, A, take time, and B, it's going to take brothers and sisters like you and me and many, many, many others to keep saying this, right? Key to learning is simplicity and repetition. We have to say it 50 different ways on 50 different ways. The talk shows have to be about it. The media has to be about it. And those who are elders have to talk it into, we have to speak this into our people intergenerationally. This is an intergenerational problem, right? It's not going to be solved, well, let's have a 3-year plan or a 5-year plan. Oh, no. You don't change as Dr. Francis Cress Welsing said, because we have gone through such trauma, our DNA has been changed to a great extent. So you don't fix that in a generation or two. It just takes time. So it takes time, it takes patience, and it takes repetition, that we have to grow a lot more people like you and me and others, and that this becomes the chorus of the icons and the legends in our communities who are in sync, in chorus, and saying this until this becomes the raison d'etre of Black people, the reason for being, right? This, that we are all saying it. And if you are not being this, if you're not doing these things, you're out of step, you're out of sync, you're chastised and ostracized, right? That takes time. It will happen. If you've evaluated Black people as I have, I've been a student of Black people and serving Black people for 40 years, you will understand this is the strategy. There's nothing we have ever done of significance, my dear, that has not taken at least 100 years. It took us 100 years from 1864 to 1964 to get civil rights, voting rights, and public access. And we achieved it. We achieved it without guns or money. Why was that, Dr. Fraser? Because whenever you're operating out of goodness and righteousness, you will always win. Now, we are right on this. Make no mistake about that. No one would question our rightness. It's now just a matter of penetration. It's a matter of time, and it's a matter of repetition. It's no more complicated than that, right? We don't even need to craft any new things to say. We just keep repeating the things over and over. That's how it's going to work.
And so one of the other things that you talk about is networking, and people networking within their network. I'm talking about Black people networking with other Black businesses to sort of keep that money, almost as the Jews do, keep the money in the network. What's the key to that?
That's, again, a wonderful question. In spite of the challenges of
Why do you
America.
struggle with that? Why? Because it is tough. It's an easy question, but such a tough answer. Why are we having such a
Sure.
hard time with that?
Yeah. Well, I'm going to tell you the answer to the question and the resolution to that question. Again, a great question. We do not lack opportunity in America as Black people in spite of the isms. That is not our challenge. Our challenge is capacity, building our capacity to take advantage of the unlimited opportunities, right? So you can tell Black people to recycle Black dollars all that you want, but at the end of the day, they will yes you to death. But they're smart enough to understand that they are not going to spend their hard-earned money and get less, right? That's
Right.
at the end of the day. They want more. Now, my Jewish friends tell me that they do not give their business or recycle their dollars to Jewish people just because they're Jewish. No, 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 no. They're smarter than that. So if there's an opportunity to compete for something and five people are competing for it, and all things being equal, the quality, value, and service, all things being equal, you get quality, value, and service. The tiebreaker is I'm a Jew and you're a Jew, and you get the business because I love me and I love you, right?
Right.
So we have to build our capacity to be able to compete in a global workplace, in a global economy. And so we have to ramp up our game. And let me say that differently. We, Black people, cannot be mediocre. Only white people can be mediocre. We saw that with Donald Trump as compared to Barack Hussein Obama. Had Barack Hussein Obama had said or done 1/1000th of whatever Donald Trump had said or done, he wouldn't have been elected dog catcher, let alone president of the United States. We cannot be mediocre. We must be excellent, excellent, right? It's not fair. It's not right, but that's what it is. So once we understand, and my mama taught me this many years ago, she said, Georgia boy, you're going to have to be twice as good to get half as much, because if you're Black and mediocre in America, you better leave, because you're going to be marginalized and you're ultimately going to be destroyed and you're not going to be able to compete in this country. So we have to focus on excellence in every single thing that we do. Yes, we're into high tech, but we also have to be into high touch, right? You have to mitigate high tech with high touch. That's wonderful customer service support, follow up, all the things we talk about when we talk about effective networking. So these are things that we have to learn. Let me say it simply. If we knew better, we would do better. We don't know any better. We don't. We're not taught these things. And for many years, these things have not been modeled for us, because not only must we do these things or say these things repeatedly, we have to model the behavior that we expect from our people. We have to model it. As I tell parents all the time, your children are not listening to you. Your children are watching you. Your children are going to do what you do. They're going to say what you say. They're going to behave as you behave. So we have to model these things. In other words, we must become them. We must espouse them, and we must repeatedly talk about them. All right, and until it becomes habitual. And it's that kind of habitual behavior that will ultimately move the needle over time. It's a long road, but we can get there, because there's never been an assignment that God has given Black people that we have not completed. We freed ourselves after 250 years of slavery without guns or money. Right? We got civil rights, voting rights, and public access without guns or money. There's never been an assignment that God has given Black people that we have not completed. Will we get to this promised land that we're both talking about? Absolutely. Will you see it in your lifetime? No, you will not. And I damn sure won't see it, right? But you will pass the baton. You will pass on your spirit. You'll pass on your information, right? You will model this behavior as you're doing, and you will infect, affect, and effect others. And over time, it will change.
That's powerful. Do you think that by and large, our race has stopped telling our kids, our black boys and girls, and children of color, that mediocrity can't exist in their world, that they have to be excellent, they have to be twice as good, because that's what I grew up knowing as well.
Whoop, there it is. That's exactly right. We have to insist on it. We just can't casually tell them. And when I say insist, we have to inspect what we expect. If you're telling your children to be excellent in school, I hope you're spending as much time raising the friends of your children as you're raising your child. You have to look at their grades. You have to help them with homework. You have to, wherever you can, whenever you can, you have to do the things that demonstrate to them that everything you want in life is on the other side of hard, but it's accessible, it's available if you do the work, and if you meet the metrics, and if you have measurements, because nothing, those things that are not measured will not get accomplished, right? So we all have goals, right? And we write them, hopefully you write them down, not just keep them in your head,
Sure.
relative to where you are at this moment in time, what you want to do today, then you check it off. What do you want to do tomorrow? You got to measure things, you have to insist on things, and then if you're a parent and you're speaking excellent, you got to be excellent. And every time you do something that's excellent, you show your children how you did it, why you did it, what you did, right? And then at the end of the day, if you've done a good job in raising your children, I have two beautiful sons, of which I'm awesomely proud of. Your children want to be just like you. At the end of the day, they don't want Charles Barkley to be their model. You are their model. At the end of the day, your children are deeply trying to make you happy.
You know, on this journey, we try to sit at the feet of great masters so that we can learn. This is no condemnation on any other race. We're just talking about what we need to do to find and own our agency. And it's a word that is being tossed about a lot, Dr. Fraser. And you said it earlier in the conversation, when you were 42 years old, you figured it out. Talk about each person, especially Black people, finding their agency and what that means to our future.
Finding one's agency begins with this, or begins with the understanding of this. One of my favorite quotes outside of the Bible is by Marcus Aurelius. My favorite quote inside of the Bible is Proverbs 13:22. A good man leaves an inheritance to his children's children. That will be your legacy, by the way. Marcus Aurelius said this: the impediment to action advances the action. What stands in your way becomes the way. And that's a mile deep.
Wow. What stands in your way becomes your way.
Let me finish the thought. Let me repeat it for those who want to take notes. The impediment to action advances the action. What stands in your way becomes the way. Let me say that differently. The obstacle is the way. Where there is no obstacle, there is no way. What is the first thing God does when he gives you your assignment? The first thing he does after he gives you your assignment, he puts an obstacle in your way.
Wow.
And your job is to find a way over, around, through, and or under that obstacle. And when you do, you get an atta girl or an atta boy. You then get a new assignment at a slightly higher level. And then what's the first thing God does? He puts an obstacle in your way. And your job is to find a way over, around, through, understand how to avoid the failures or have the failures, because you learn far more from failure than you do from success. So this is our life. It's overcoming the obstacles so that we can learn the lessons needed to take us on the next step on our journey. James Baldwin says it beautifully. James Baldwin said, we are born, we suffer, and then we die. Now, what did he mean by that? He meant that it's how we manage our suffering that ultimately will determine the meaning of the dash between the year you were born and the year you die. How we manage our suffering, right, will determine our life. Now, here's the really good news. There was a major study by the New England Journal of Medicine 2 years ago on the 3 most productive periods of your life. The 3 most productive periods of your life, which proves out the whole concept of the obstacle is the way. The number 3 most productive period of your life is between the ages of 50 and 60. The number 2 most productive period of your life is between 70 and 80.
Wow.
Right? And the number 1 most productive period of your life is between 60 and 70. Right? So the average age of a Nobel Prize winner is 62. The average age of a CEO of a Fortune 500 company is 63. The average age of the pastors of the 100 largest churches in America is 71. Moses was 80 when he got his assignment from God, right? Mandela became president of South Africa at 76. The average age of a pope is 76. Gandhi secured India at the age of 61. Ray Kroc founded McDonald's at 59. Toni Morrison won her Pulitzer Prize for Beloved at 57, and then her Nobel Prize at 62. I study architecture. Frank Lloyd Wright, the great iconic architect, right, finished his magnum opus building the Guggenheim Museum on 54th Street and 5th Avenue. I watched it being built as I was growing up as a child. He finished that at 90 years old.
Wow.
God has designed us so that our best years are between 60 and 80 years old. Why? You need time to learn. The average male does not mature until 40. And we got brothers making decisions about marriage, right, in their 20s and early 30s. They don't even know who they are, right? So everything takes time. It takes time, right? And you have to fail. You have to make mistakes, right? You have to go through the cauldron and the fires, right? That's what gives you wisdom, because not everybody that is old is wise. You're just old, right? 2 different things than being old and wise. It means you've learned. So what I'm saying to everyone out there, between 0 and 49 years old, you ain't done nothing. You're just learning. You're just figuring this out. Be patient. Learn the lessons. Make the mistakes. I tell people all the time, I have failed my way to success, right? But a mistake or failure twice in the same thing is a decision. It's a decision. So be patient. Do the work. Understand who you are. Understand what God has put you here for, right? Chart that course and then stay that course. Then all that is due you will come to you. It comes with time and age. There are exceptions to the rule, of course. But you don't know how much time you have. I tell people all the time, do anything but don't waste my time. I will get more money, but I will not get any more time. I don't know how much time I have, and I don't want to know, but I'm not allowing you to waste it, right? Don't waste your time. Do the work, do the studying, do the reading. Know that there is a reason for you to be here, and know that you will not fully understand it and monetize it or leverage it generally speaking, until you're 50-ish. Again, there are exceptions to the rule, but even the great sister who was the poet at the inauguration, I forgot her name,
Amanda
but
Gorman.
yeah, Amanda, right? Fabulous. But this is just the tip of the iceberg for her. If she maintains her path, right, gets even better, who knows what she will end up doing in that sphere. So that's my story. I'm sticking to it. I am the best that I've ever been at 76.
You
At
are
76.
amazing. You are amazing. Dr. Fraser, we can't thank you enough for teaching us and telling us the truths that we need to hear to propel ourselves forward into our agency. Before we've got to let you go, tell people how they can connect with you. Have so many incredible
Sure.
resources and podcasts and websites. Tell people how they can connect with you.
Sure. First of all, I want to encourage everyone to visit us for our virtual conference, our second annual virtual conference. And we had to replace a virtual conference with our live conference. This is our 20th anniversary. That's August the 11th to the 14th. August the 11th to the 14th. You want to find out more about it, go to powernetworkingconference.com. That's our website, powernetworkingconference.com. Find out all about it and get you a ticket. You need to be there. We're planning a live conference, back to a live conference next year in August. You'll find out more about that. If you have any questions, if there are things that you would like to get a deeper dive on, you can simply email me at gfraser, F-R-A-S as in Sam, E-R, gfraser@frasernet.com. And then let me repeat, I said it earlier, understand that everything you want in life is on the other side of hard. Do the work. Stay the course. And all that is due you will come to you.
Dr. Fraser, thank you so much. Thank you for spending the time. And thank you for being an agent of change in the world.
I appreciate you for that. And thank you so much. And I want you to remember this little piece by James Baldwin, because I want you to use it
Okay.
in your elegant way. And I love this by James Baldwin. He's one of my favorite authors. I grew up with him. And James Baldwin says, if I love you, I have to make you conscious of the things that you do not see. So as a beautiful, smart woman with a mega microphone, right, that's really what you're doing. You love your people and you're making them conscious of the things they do not see.
That's powerful. I believe that God used this moment to speak through you to me. Because here's what the enemy will do. He will make you think, and so many people that will hear this and will see this are believing that their time, their season is over. He will make you think, or make me think at 53, almost 54 years old, that it is over, when in fact it's just beginning. And those obstacles are my pathway. And I never could have believed that. And I believe, as you were saying, that God was saying to me, that's what faith is. Those obstacles, those people who don't believe the vision that I showed you or that he showed me, that they don't believe that it can happen. They don't know how it will happen. He says that's where I need you to lean into your faith, because it's too big for me. But all I have to do is just be faithful over these things that he's given me, to do the work, to put in the time, and he'll do, he'll move the stumbling blocks, or he will help to guide us through these stumbling blocks. But more than anything, I believe that, I say it all the time, and I love Mahatma Gandhi, and I love, his life's work and his story, but we have to be the change that we want to see in our own lives first. And I start with me, and I make sure that I'm doing the work, so that, I won't be hypocritical in asking other people to do their work.
That's right. There you go.
and
That's
we've
right.
we've had, just the blessing to have great people like yourselves and like yourself to sit at their feet. And I just want you to know that we're honored and we are immensely grateful.
Thank you. I appreciate you. And you know where I am if you need me.
All right. Well, I'm going to need you. So don't be surprised when we pop up on your screen again.
All right. That's a deal.
Thank you,
Thank
Doc.
you.
All right. You take care.
Appreciate you.
Be
Keep
well.
doing God's work.
I
Thank
will.
you.
And you too.